Welcome to Adventures Walking as One, where we explore what it really looks like to walk on the same path in the same direction as husband and wife.
We are Mark and Carol Schweiger of Walk as One Ministries, and we believe that marriage is the greatest adventure and worth preparing for.
So, today's conversation.
10 words that describe a great marriage. So 10 words? Why 10 words? Well, first of all, Hebrews 10:24 says that we should keep on encouraging each other to be thoughtful and to do helpful things. So we desire to bring hope, and if that's possible, to have a great marriage, it's good to have hope.
Yes, you got to have hope. And just as a reminder, great marriages don't just happen. They are intentionally built.
Yes.
So our first word for today, we're talking about all these words. It's about understanding where you and your partner are headed as a couple. It's your destination. So we're going to be talking about direction. And one of the things that helps me to remember is that our decisions set our direction to our destination. So where do you want to go?
Yeah. You know, back in episode 2 that we recorded, Why Are We Doing This? We shared our direction, and that was like early in our marriage. We saw a lot of families and marriages struggling. Many marriages were falling apart. And we also discovered that marriage is really the corner of society. It's the cornerstone. So ultimately, without godly families, society fails.
And it's interesting, this is where our direction comes in, because we were like, hey, now somebody needs to do something about that. God said that we need to, and so we said yes. And so we've been striving to leave a positive legacy as our destination.
As best as we can.
Yeah. And so, we had to ask questions, like what type of legacy do we want to leave back when we were starting this? And it is reflected in our mission for Walk as One Ministries.
Right.
And it is to encourage and build up couples to help their marriage be a success. We want them to leave a positive legacy for generations to come.
So it made me think, where are we going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and even 30 years from now? And we asked that question as we were developing in our marriage.
Yep.
And, our goal is to see our kids carry the torch, to build families, to strengthen their marriages and bring security in their families, right, with their kids. And then ultimately that their kids would carry the torch also. So it's really building that legacy.
And that's the cornerstone of our society.
Yeah.
So the second word.
Honesty.
All right.
It's being truthful, transparent, authentic, right? Proverbs 12:22 says that the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in those who tell truth. And, that's really important that we tell the truth.
Yes. And a good example of that is when we were first dating, was later on when we were dating. But the conversation was started by Carol. It was a very transparent conversation about dating, about sex, prior relationships. I had never had this conversation before. And but we managed to do this in a very transparent manner.
Yeah. No criticism.
Yes.
We wanted to keep it safe.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't have any fear. So when we were discussing that, do you remember back then and how you felt?
Yeah, there was some trepidation sometimes, but knowing that I wasn't going to be facing someone who's going to think, what the heck are you thinking? Why did you do that? It just made it easier to be open and honest and not withhold, right?
Yeah, and it was interesting because it's actually, there's a concept called the love bank. Where you make deposits in each other's lives, and that's through positive interactions. And for me, that was deposits in the love bank. Because we had the conversation, because we're talking honestly about things in our past life, and there was no condemnation, We felt safe in sharing. And I believe we did that on purpose, that we weren't going to criticize and things like that.
Right. But it really is a total disclosure of not hiding anything. And I think that's really important. I think of like my cell phone. You have access to my cell phone. You got my code to get into it. You have access to all of my text messages, whatever. We share a calendar, and everything we do goes on the calendar, so I can't hide anything unless I want to create a surprise for you.
Yeah, that's probably the only time when we have to do a surprise day or something like that.
But, past history is so important, to understand the person, understanding your past history and you understanding my past history. It brings a lot more enlightenment in the relationship.
Future desires, money. Everybody struggles with money, right?
Yeah.
You want to hide some for your own stash, and
you don't.
Yep, everything, the accounts and the statements, all the financial stuff is out for both of us to see. And maybe future podcasts can be about finances and money.
Ooh, that'll be a good one. Anyway, another word would be shared faith. It's actually two words. But 2 Corinthians 6:14 says, "Do not be joined together with those who do not belong to Christ." And it goes on to say, how can that which is good get along with that which is bad? How can a light be in the same place with darkness? Well, it's really important that you have that shared faith.
Yes, and I think that's illustrated. There was a time, I don't think we were quite dating yet, but we had gotten together at the cottage. I knew that she was going to be there, so of course I wanted
the cottage. That was my mom and dad's place.
yeah, it's the cottage, and so I went. We spent the weekend together, but I hadn't seen her for a while, and so the feelings that you have get stirred up again. That was so much so that I drove her to school. Went right from
3.5 hours away.
Yeah, 3.5 hours. Came back and went right to work. So I guess us guys do crazy things with the females involved, right? But when I got home, I felt that I had to let her know how I felt. Okay, and so I wrote a letter. Now this is back in the day where this is paper and pencil. So
snail mail.
That was huge. Yeah. Oh man, it was huge for me to have to sit and write this thing. So I wrote it. I mailed it, which I was sitting when we were talking about this. It was like, how did I even know where to send it to? I don't even know. But I did. I mailed it, shared how I felt, and then my response.
No, my response.
My response.
My response was, we have a problem here, because I was really walking strong in the Lord at the time, and Mark didn't have that same level of spiritual experience, if you will. Yeah. And so I felt like I have a problem. So we kind of put everything on the back burner for a while without going forward in our relationship. But then after I was home from school and everything, then we started dating again. Then we got serious, and you made a major commitment to the Lord. So now I had the green light of, this is a go.
and these things are important because you're going to attend the same church. You're not living your life separate. This is the whole principle of walking as one.
Right.
And so we had to have these discussions, like everything you do. What church are we going to attend? Where are we going to go to church?
What are our core values and beliefs, right?
Yep.
We want those to be lined up. Moral principles, just some of those things you kind of take for granted, but yet it's so important. That you share those, that you are on the same page with them, and it's walking on the same path, right? Yeah,
I was going to say, we believe the Bible is the foundation, so we have to spend time reading it. Have a shared understanding of what it means, because if I'm going in one direction and she's going in the other direction, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Right. And it's also a means of getting guidance and direction and wisdom and, for everything in our life, everything. Right?
Yep.
And we've had to really lean on God for a lot of things.
A lot of decisions. There's a lot of heavy stuff that comes down in all of our lives.
Yeah.
And we found that, and that would be another a good idea for a lot of good podcast ideas here about making decisions.
Right. And we did talk about Ecclesiastes 4:12, which was the cord of three
Yes.
It can't be easily broken. And that's the ultimate goal in a marriage. But there's also Ephesians 4:3, and that's make every effort to keep yourself united in spirit, binding yourselves together with peace.
Yes.
And I think that is a really good verse for that.
Okay. Word number 4, understanding.
Ooh.
Understanding is actively is the key word here. To seek and value your partner's perspectives, emotions, experiences, feelings, thoughts, and beliefs.
Ooh.
And the key here?
Even when they differ from your own.
And that is very difficult.
We have many differences.
Yes.
We are different in almost everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it makes it interesting and sometimes irritating, right?
Yeah.
One of the first ones that we had was I was brushing my teeth, and I just brushed my teeth with the water running. And she kept asking me, so why are you leaving the water running when you're brushing your teeth?
You're wasting water. But I came from a big family. And our house, everything was like, use it sparingly.
Yes.
Shut the water off while you're brushing your teeth. So I had to adjust to that. I had to understand that was never an issue for Mark. And I had to realize, it's not so bad running the water while you brush your teeth, so I do it now. Another example would be our social calendar. Ooh, I'm more social. I like doing things. I can fill up our calendar really fast.
Carol social, Mark social.
But, I had to understand that he needs time to not be so busy. People tire him out sometimes, although you wouldn't know it. When you're in a crowd of people, you're a better mingler than I am.
It was funny when we first got married. I says, okay, I need one day a week where I don't have anything to do. I may do something, but I don't have to do anything.
And I didn't understand that. But I had to respect that. I had to understand you needed that debriefing.
But that only lasted for till I think it probably stopped when we had kids and houses and everything else. So now there's no
time. But I do make a point to, be careful that when I'm putting things on the calendar, I have to assess, is this going to be too much for Mark? Yeah. And, we'll have a discussion about that, and then I'll have to rearrange things.
So we're blending together a little better now than we did originally.
Yeah.
And one of our keys is we have to seek to understand. Understanding doesn't come on purpose.
Right.
And we'll have more discussions at some point about how different we are and how we have understood. But this is a process that we've been undergoing now for a long time.
Yeah. You want to read that one?
Yes. So we're talking about understanding here in 1 Peter 3:7. He says, in the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of new life. Treat her as you should, so your prayers will not be hindered. And we always, for guys, we want our prayers to be not hindered.
Right.
So that
we want them highly effective.
Good verse to be highly effective.
Yeah.
All right, word number 5, gratitude.
Ooh.
What is gratitude? Thankful.
Yes.
Appreciation.
It could be with words and actions, is what I was going to say.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And sometimes actions are better than words. And I think you were better at this than I am. At least, for some reason in my head, I don't remember being grateful all the time. I don't remember expressing
it's
it.
The expression of
yes,
it.
the expression of it, because I think about it.
Yeah.
I am grateful.
Yeah, because when we talk about it, you're like, oh yeah, I saw that, but I think it's in your head, but not coming forth from your mouth.
Yes.
Right.
I don't have that attitude of gratitude.
You do, but it just doesn't come
It's
forth.
not coming out. Yeah.
You want to catch your spouse doing something right or well. And for instance, Mark has been a fabulous provider for our family, for myself and all of our kids and everything, and I'm very grateful for that. We've never had to feel like we can't have something. Not beyond, grandiose, although we've had some grandiose things.
Yes, we have.
But we've never gone without. or had tremendous need. It's always been met. And I think that's because you've been a hard worker, and the Lord has also blessed you as a result of being very loyal as you are.
And, we were talking about grandiose or just having stuff. And we were interviewing Uncle John when he was 91 years old.
Yeah.
And it was amazing to me because he went through the war.
Yeah.
But he said the worst thing that he saw was people without food.
Yeah.
And
In
so
the depression.
I have been very thankful that we have food on the table. Even if we don't have anything else, we have food on the table.
Yeah, always. And good food. And that reminded me of my dad, because every dinner, at the end of dinner, he'd say, "Good dinner, Mama," or "Great meal, thanks for cooking." And that really carried on.
And actually, I try to do that. Sometimes it's like, well, maybe once a year we would have this one.
Yeah.
Oh, are we done? We're done with,
Well,
I think we're out of time.
Almost. So 1 Thessalonians 5:18, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. So having a thankful heart, grateful heart is really, it goes a long way. And it's motivation for the other one who's serving.
So I think that's all that we have for you today.
Yeah.
But we said 10 words and we've only gone through 5.
So stay tuned for the next 5 words that'll make a great marriage in our next adventure of Walking as One.
And we have a marriage basics curriculum that's available at walkasone.net. And this will help you to apply these words to your marriage.
Right. So what words would you use to describe your marriage? Do you have great words that maybe we didn't mention? And stay tuned, because we will have 5 more words coming up in the next episode.
And you can visit our website, walkasone.net, for the list of all these whole words. I mean, all of the words we have on a tab.
The 10
on the
great
website.
words.
Yeah, the 10 great words. But they're on the podcast tab on our website.
They are. So thanks for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to a WBRW TV produced podcast in Washington Township, Michigan. Our podcast can be found on Spotify, and our video programming can be watched on WBRWTV.com or on our broadcast channels in Washington, Bruce, and Romeo on Comcast and AT&T. If you're interested in using our podcast space or have any ideas of your own for a podcast, reach out to us now at wbrwpodcast@gmail.com. For more information on our organization, our content, or how you can get involved, visit wbrwtv.com. The opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect the views of the Charter Township of Washington, Michigan Community Media, or WBRW-TV.